Good morning, Internet fans. Ryan Perry here, Simple Biz Support. Today is Thursday, September 10th. I believe it's the 10th. I forgot to double check my calendar. Virginie's not giggling in the background, so I must be correct. It is Internet Marketing Thursday. Therefore, I have Virginie Dorn with Business Website Center. Good morning, Virginie.
Good morning and happy first day to everybody and yourself. How are you?
I'm doing very good, thank you. It's a beautiful day in Sonoma County. I think we're supposed to hit like 100 degrees again, which I absolutely love and looking forward to it. But actually after this call, I'm heading off to the Sierras for a backpacking trip. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, I'm envious. I love, you talk about going to South Lake Tahoe, one of my favorite places in the world. So have fun.
Thank you very much. Before I can do that, though, we need to talk about, we're going to continue our series on SEO. And in today's series, we're going to talk, we're pulling it directly from Google. They actually have webmaster guidelines. And I love how you kind of put guidelines as guidelines, because Google doesn't always like to tell you exactly what to do, so you can't play the system. However, they do have recommendations based on user experience, what they would like to see from a webmaster when it comes to building, designing, and maintaining your website.
Yes, and truly it's a full-time job to keep up with their modifications. So they tweak those guidelines frequently, and webmasters, at least the good ones, should be stay abreast of what's going on with Google. Yeah, a lot of people don't know when Google puts out there some free information for web designers and website owners about what they expect to see in order to get good ranking. The information is there. Sometimes it's quite lengthy to read through. Sometimes it can get quite technical, but they do offer a lot of free information on how to better rank a website. So this is what we're going to talk about today. It's actually going to take us a few weeks to cover all the guidelines they are currently recommending for websites.
Right, and I think it's a good question if you're looking for a web developer or you're not sure if your current webmaster is doing a great job. Ask them about Google Webmaster Tools and what the recommendations are and what they're doing to follow them. And if the response is either blank or, yeah, we're taking care of it, maybe they're not aware and therefore they're not doing everything they could be doing to benefit you and your.
Yes, yeah. And again, when we talk about Google, we're talking about search engine optimization, which is how your website is going to be ranked when someone searches for very good keywords and relate to your services or product. So it's very important. Having a great website, good looking, it's fine and dandy, but if nobody can find it, then you really have wasted money in developing that beautiful website. So that's what we're going to be doing in the next few weeks, is really focusing on SEO and explain to you in normal words what Google is saying you should be doing to your site in order to have that top ranking.
Okay, perfect. So you've actually created I'll call it a top 10 list, because there happens to be 10 items in it. We're going to break it up 5 this week, and then we're going to do 5 next week. Let's go ahead and start with number 1, though.
Yeah, and this week and next week, we're only covering section 1 out of 3. Google has 3 sections, which is design and content guidelines, which they called. Their second section they call technical guidelines, and the third section is called quality guidelines. So this week and next, we're going to talk about design guidelines from Google themselves. So I'll go through the list, and you can ask me questions, and we can discuss it. The first one is to make sure your site has a very clear organization and how the pages intertwine and work together within your website. It makes it easier for the search engine bots to actually crawl all of the pages of your website, giving you a better chance to be ranked, not just from the home page, but for all the dozens and dozens of pages you have spent time created. So again, it's having that clear organization. We have, the last few years, we had drop-down menus with multi-level drop-downs. Those are quite useful and practical, not just for your website visitors, but also for the crawlers. So that's the number 1 guideline, is that clear organization and how all the pages work together on your website.
Right, and I think that's where a really good menu structure is really important, especially, if you just have one product or one service, piece of cake. But as you kind of evolve beyond that, now you've got 6 services, 10 services or products, 15 or 20, it really becomes an issue of how do we make it simple for people to find the information that they want? Because essentially, that's what you should be doing. The easier it is, people can find the product or the question or the answer that they're looking for, the happier they're going to be. And Google has great ways of figuring out if people are happy with your website or not.
Oh yes, they're very smart in their own way. It's a little scary. So let's go to their second recommendation, which has to do with sitemaps. We already are familiar with sitemaps, which are like very typical file we put on a server that are only made for the crawlers, those bots then crawl your website to index it. In the old days, we had sitemap for visitors. That was a page where you listed all your links and all the pages you had on your website. For some companies, that can be a very big page, especially if you have 100 or more pages. So for a while, this went out of favor with Google. They said it was not needed. But recently, they put it back as a second recommendation. Then they wanted again to see that sitemap for visitors on your web page. And on that page, they wanted you to show especially the most important pages of your website. So that was a surprise to us. And again, because that is back in favor with Google. It's kind of like fashion and mullet hair, and once in a while they come back and you just open your eyes. And also taking the sitemap a bit further, they want that page to be called sitemap.html or sitemap.php. So it's telling me something in the recent algorithm changes is taking into consideration that unique page again.
Right. Now, the sitemap has never gone away completely in the sense that you should always have a sitemap file. What's unique in the fact is that Google wants a visible sitemap for the actual user, so you can kind of click on it. And I think that kind of ties in with number one, especially if you have a large website, a number of pages. Sometimes having a sitemap, and all a sitemap is, it's kind of like a roadmap that says, hey, here's the home page, and off the home page, we've got these different options, and then you've got this page, and this has got these different options. So it kind of gives you that 30,000-foot elevation where you get to see all the different options, all the different links and pages all at once. And it is kind of interesting that it's coming back, because I don't know how many people would actually look at the sitemap. Yes. Although if you think about it, if you go to a big mall, like Mall of America, they have the directory where it lists all the different places, and then it breaks it down by food and clothing and whatever else the different categories are. They are beneficial. So I don't know. I think that one's kind of interesting.
Yes.
Ultimately, though, if Google is recommending that you have a visual sitemap for the end user, it's pretty simple to put a little link down in the footer or hide it somewhere, and not hide it, but it doesn't have to be on the main menu bar, I don't think.
You're absolutely correct. It's audited, but just put it somewhere, make Google happy. That's the ultimate goal, so you can get that page one ranking for your website. Now, the third recommendation has to do with keeping the number of links on any given web page to a manageable amount. It seems like Google is telling us it doesn't like when you put 600 links on one page. It doesn't think it's user-friendly. It doesn't think it brings any value. It may confuse their bot. So again, their word is manageable amount of links on any given page. So if you have such page, and for some reason at one point you thought it was a great idea to have 100+ links listed, I want to reconsider that page, maybe breaking it down if it's that important to you into multiple pages. So it's, again, a manageable number of links.
Right. And I think there's two schools of thoughts. One is, as business owners, we always want to tell everybody everything we do, even though one of those services or products we might only sell once a year. And yet as a business owner, it's like, oh, but I might miss out on the sale. Just focus on the core part of your business. And, if you don't worry about that 1 or 2% of your business, that really shouldn't be the core focus. So don't create a lot of clutter on your website as far as creating links. The other thing I was thinking of is, can you imagine trying to scroll through 100 links on a page on this thing?
It makes no sense. So.
No. All right. 100 links. I think that's a no-brainer. What's number 4?
4, once again, they are mentioning that content is still king in their vocabulary. They are in the business of delivering high quality and rich content to their members. That's all what Google does. You type for something and they give you content. So they, again, as a 4th guideline, they mentioned it again. So it has not gone away. Content, unique, fresh content that is not a duplication from another page elsewhere is what they're looking for. So that's their 4th guideline, which makes sense to all of us, of course.
Yeah, and the one thing I want to tell people on this is that don't get lazy. One of my very first client is an estate attorney. She's still a client of mine, and she spent a lot of time and energy, built a beautiful website, and it just mentally, it exhausted her, just everything, because she built it from scratch. Now, needless to say, new website, she has 0 visibility on Google. When I went through the website, I'm like, we have a problem. You're an estate attorney and you have a single menu at the top. She's got multiple menu items, but she only had one for services. And if you clicked on the service page, it listed all the different services that she did: estate planning, probate, elder care, and some other stuff. But it was all on one page. And so the problem is you're diluting your message when you put multiple services on one page, because Google doesn't know exactly what this page is about. If you did a Google search for probate attorney, as an example, and Google indexes your website and it goes, oh, look, I found this page that talks about probate attorney, but it also talks about elder care, and it also talks about estate planning, and it also talks about, you know, a couple of these other legal things that she does. It's not an exact match, and Google's looking for an exact match. So the recommendation that I made to her is that we need to break out your services page and then have a separate page for estate planning, a separate page for probate. She wasn't able to do that initially, simply because she was just mentally exhausted from building this beautiful website. I said, hey, not a problem. There's other things I can do. 3 months went by. We went from 0 visibility. I was able to get her on page 4, page 5 of Google, but it stopped. And it wasn't going anywhere. And I said, we need to break these pages up. She's like, hey, not a problem. I'm ready. I got energy for this. We went ahead and we broke up the pages, had to create new content, new images, restructured the menu. And within 2 weeks, she was on the first page. So you want to be very specific. Now, if you have 100 different products, but only 5 products generate 80% of your business, then just create content for those 5 products. You don't have to do it for everything.
No, your point is very well made, and actually ties in directly to the 5th guideline from Google, which has to do with keywords and content. Again, that's all news, but it's again one of their top 5 guidelines when it comes to design of a website, which they want you to know what keywords you want to be found for each page, and they want you to develop the content with that keyword in mind. So just like you mentioned, probate and estate planning, if you're doing an estate planning page, you have to know that's what you want to be found for, and include the keywords and similarly meaning keywords into the content in a way that makes sense for people who read it, but also something that makes sense for their software, so that truly grabs the essence of the page, therefore indexing it #1 on page 1 of Google. So again,
right.
We talk about quality content, but also keyword-empowered content.
Correct. And if you happen to be a local business owner, your target audience is within, say, 20 miles, 1 or 2 cities of you, you also need to think about geo-targeting, which is, hey, if I'm in Rohnert Park, as an example, I need to make sure Rohnert Park is mentioned in my website. Now, the estate attorney was in Petaluma, and so obviously with her address, we've got her address in the footer, so it says Petaluma. But you know what? There's a lot of people in Novato that need estate planning attorney. So we made sure that we also included Novato, San Rafael, other cities, because if you don't list those cities, then Google's can only know that, hey, you're in Petaluma, so you're only relevant to Petaluma.
Yeah, well, again, another point well made by Mr. Perry. So yes,
I learned from you. I learned from you.
Thank you. So we covered today the 5 main guidelines from Google in their first section, and next week there's going to be 5 more for you and I to review together.
All right, perfect. And with that, we're out of time. So a lot of great information. Virginie, as always, I appreciate the time and energy that you put into this and providing great information for our guest. Next week, guys, we're going to be continuing this conversation with 6 through 10. And remember, these guidelines come directly from Google. This is not, oh, well, we feel or SEO experts in the industry say. This is coming directly from Google. So this is good information. Virginie, have a great day, and I will see you next Thursday.
Sounds lovely. Take care.
All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next Thursday.